I'm that girl who is now a barista. um, it took me a while to notice the difference between why my coffee was tasting different from my partner's coffee, right? Same beans, same water supply, same machine. And, it should have been the same. And what I noticed is the taste was different for some reason. I don't know whether it was just the heat, the mixture of the water to the cream to the whatever, right? Like it was noticeably different. And so, I had to sort of stop and think, well, why is it different? Why does it work for him and my taste buds? And like my coffees were like, okay, but there was just something else. Someone suggested maybe he just puts more love into the effort of making coffee, or, he sets the intentions for love. And that definitely could be it, because love is definitely fine and tasty. And you can definitely notice the difference when something has been given with love versus begrudgingly delivered, right? There is a huge difference in energy and intentions and integrity when you get that, right? So, I mean, we know that. We know when our friends are genuine and putting in true effort and energy versus the others that sort of just think, oh, well, I'll just send a whole bunch of empty words and hope that it kind of fools them or tricks them, right? Energy doesn't lie, people do. We know this, and we've heard this, and we've experienced this so many times. So, fascinating as I got to explore it. And what I was doing was shortcutting some of the processes that he was doing, right? So, a big mistake. Like here I was thinking it should be exactly the same. I should get the same results. But I wasn't getting the same results. And I had to sort of really stop and think about it and look at all of it. And I did have to feel into my teams, because I was like, gosh, what the heck? Like, why is there a difference here? What am I doing wrong? What am I missing? Right. And it's the proportion of cream versus the fluid of the coffee. And he takes the time with the frother. He actually like does the boiling of the water or the frothing of the cream or whatever. So I actually had to stop and think about it for a while, but I was kind of like stumped. And so I had to like tap into my teams to be like, well, what is it seriously? Like, I'm annoyed now. Why can't I be that full on barista? Anyway, I focused on it. I actually explored it. I unpacked it, and they did give me some help to understand that I was missing a crucial component to it, right? Like I set the intentions to add the cream in, cool, but I wasn't doing the cream full part, right? Boring conversation, right? For all of you who hate coffee, this must be like the most horrific conversation so far. But we could apply this to everything, right? We so could. We could apply it to every single thing that we're doing in our lives. We're a little bit stuck. Or, what is it? A client of mine wanted me to ask her subconscious, why do people get jealous? Why do people get hung up and feel jealousy? And, the subconscious was like, well, there's inner work there, isn't there? Because they have lack. And, they're really just judging yourself, but projecting onto others, right? So, I was jealous that I wasn't making the same coffees that he was doing, but I wasn't really stopping and looking at all of his procedures and all of the processes. I lazily assumed that it should work for me because I had the same ingredients as. It should, right? It should. And I know a lot of people compare sessions. A lot of people listen to the sessions that I have posted publicly, and they've assumed that those are first sessions and your sessions are going to be exactly the same. And your subconscious is going to be Mr. Chattybox, and just you're going to channel for days, and you're going to finish that session and you're going to be fluent at channeling, and you're going to become suddenly a practitioner and make millions of dollars traveling the world doing this work, right? Yeah, many people have assumed that, and that is cute and all, and that is that's a perspective and that's an option, so there's that. So what are we doing in our daily lives, whether it's just small, noticing things like differences of coffee versus something else, right? So what is it all going on? It is so important to be able to apply that little analogy of my personal dilemma. So sad. To something that you're going through yourself, right? And there was another thing that they wanted me to say, and I don't know if I can think about the right analogy or expression for it. So I'm just going to have to make up something, because if I try to use my landmarks in my country, you're not going to get the references. So let's just talk about it, right? For me, I know I'm going to the new earth. I know that I'm shifting and I'm going to go to the new earth, right? And I know that if I put all of those events into boxes moving forward in time, I would know that there is going to be certain big events that are going to be needed to be experienced, to be unpacked in those boxes, right? Explored, processed, resolved, emptied out the box to learn all the lessons and experiences to then be able to get to the next box, right? It's kind of like, the Christmas marathon of unwrapping boxes. They have used this analogy before. They're reminding me now of, feel really excited about New Earth as if it's new. It's like, this is Christmas Eve, everybody. And when we get to the New Earth, we get to open up all our gifts, right? Which is all our higher dimensional talents that we're fluent in, but cannot reach here in the third dimension, right? So, we all know we've got somewhat sort of like itchy hands or hot hands or something that we just know we've got these other senses, these other range of ways to use energy to heal people, to do a whole lot of stuff that we don't quite get to here. The frustrating thing with healers is that you can't heal people that need to learn from those problems, why they have got the illnesses or the diseases or whatever, right? We can heal people when there is no purpose or significance from that accident, right? Like, so we can do a lot, but if we're trying to heal someone from an experience and a learning lesson for them to learn, we can't take that from them, right? Like, it'd be really quite an egoic thing to think that you could heal people from their lessons and experiences that they have to do because it's their inner work, right? And I've known lots of healers who want to be those heroes to save their clients from certain things. And it's like, but what you're trying to save from them is actually their own inner work, their own lessons, their own experiences, and their own way to empower themselves. So what are you trying to do, right? It's very interesting, very, very interesting. And this is why these sessions are probably the most powerful thing you can do ever, hands down. I have not come across something that can completely heal your body and be able to give you all of the answers of what's holding you back. And I have had many conversations and discussions and negotiations with the subconscious about what is that sticking point? What is that illness? What is that disease? Okay, it's a lesson. Tell me, what were they supposed to hear? What were they supposed to know? How can they work through it? How can they explore it? And often, because the subconscious is allowing the client to have all these epiphanies to be able to unpack it appropriately, not just like lance the pimple, but like actually like purge the pimple, clean it all out, explore it, unpack it, and then be able to grow and move on from it, right? I've completely lost where I was going with all of this. So anyway, so sidetracked myself or distracted myself. My journey getting to the new earth, right? I know that there's going to be heaps of events that has to take place before that can occur. And, for those people who are shifting to the new earth, the same for you too, right? We're going to have the same events happening that we're going to be unpacking in our own boxes, right? But my boxes could be, I could have 10 big boxes that I have to unpack to get to the laser event, for example. And maybe you only have, you don't have any while you're just in balance and neutral while you're waiting to unpack the laser experience, for example, right? So we can't avoid these big experiences. And we know the destination's new earth, and some of us may have heaps of little boxes to unpack before we can get there. And while we're waiting and while everyone's trying to graduate with this energy and hold this frequency high and not freak out about it, and we're purging all the energy, we're literally being squeezed out as big sponges right now. And so, that can be gross, especially if you've got so many other lifetimes of stress and anxiety and tension and hardships that are so confusing because you don't understand the purposes and the lessons and the reasons for it. So it's all been kind of, it's deeply inground, right? Like it's really intensive. Like if you were truly a sponge, you would need to be like maybe soaked for overnight and you know, kind of like an intensive, like a detergent, and you can't just like simply wring you out quickly. You've got to really be in a lot of solutions, a lot of soaps to really just get in that nitty gritty, that deep stains. Because it's been there for so long. And as you could imagine, if, you know, it would be the difference between cleaning one sponge versus cleaning 100 sponges all at once, right? Like it's a lot of work. It's not just a quick little rinse, a little spritzer. You know, you actually need to do some serious purging of density. And what does that look like now? Right? We know lots of people who are vomiting, animals are vomiting, children are vomiting, parents are vomiting. You know, there's lots of physical purging out because the emotions that are suddenly coming to the surface are being expelled, right? I mean, I wish we could be sponges, right? Because it's easy and it's not queasy and, you know, exhausting. You know, you would assume that the sponge is all cool, being a sponge still. Their state of being and state of mind for a sponge doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter at all. Oh, I'm dirty, clean me, fantastic. You know, soldier on for another 100 lives. And that was another thing they wanted to say was how many lifetimes or how many years do you think it would take humanity naturally to become compassionate, loving beings who realize that we don't need to be in competition with each other and to just be able to support and love each other and love ourselves and respect each other as versions of self and not have manipulation or corruption or all that stuff? Like, how long do you think it would take humanity to kind of mature and evolve naturally? I think Jesus was waiting for people to do that naturally. And, you know, it's been quite some time. So it's quite interesting, isn't it, when we sort of pondered that little question. So anyway, getting back to the journey to get to the new earth, right? We can't skip big experiences. We can't avoid them. We have to, you know, we're going, let's just say we're going in a linear line and unpacking all those boxes. And so it doesn't matter how many boxes you have to unpack to get to the new earth, you're still going to get there if that's part of your life contract and mission. And if you've got a role to play on the new earth, lots of people, lots of beings, when we ask in sessions, not going to the new earth, too busy. Too busy. Bless you all for staying and going to the new earth and helping with that stage, but they're too busy. They've actually got too much other things to go to, other home planets that need their support. And, you know, there's a lot going on here, right? If you've just come down for a few lifetimes, it can seem like a long time for them. So, you know, it's very interesting. And, you know, when we're multidimensional beings and we're still having other parallel lives off this planet and all that sort of stuff, you know, it gets quite convoluted. So anyway, big things are happening, that's for sure. And so regardless of what's going to be unboxed in your line of boxes for you to explore, you know, don't be surprised. A lot of these things are on your wish list. You know, you are your own Santa. You know, you've bought and purchased and wrapped up all of those boxes to get to the journey to your destination. And, you know, you can pretend to be all surprised, but you know better now. You know that everything you've put in those boxes is what you have asked for to be able to be of assistance to others or to have those experiences for yourselves, for the growth and the opportunities to empower yourself and others along the way. Right. So while you can be like, oh, wow, fantastic. I was hoping for this, but didn't quite know. Oh, hope it's my size. And the funny thing is, you are that size. So, you know, whatever the big events come, you know, you're not a small little butterfly that can't cope with all these big events. You're here to be of service, to be those pillars of light and to encourage and strengthen humanity through those big events, right? They're really not. Individually, it really isn't going to phase you. But when we pretend that there is no significance and purpose or lessons for those big events, yeah, we could lose our heads and panic a little bit and kind of drop our density and drop our fears and worries. Please remember the old Earth experience is not a punishment. And please remember that going to another 3D planet is not a punishment, right? So to get to the new Earth, we have to be able to truly unpack our own boxes and apply it and learn from it and grow from it. And so, you can't shuttle ahead. You can't skip ahead. You can't dismiss stuff. If you're supposed to have unpacked all those certain boxes, they're waiting for you, and you cannot, have your Christmas lunch, for example, until all the boxes are unwrapped. And, these are gifts for you to experience, definitely not a burden, definitely not a hassle. And you're very capable of, really diving into those boxes, unpacking them, empowering yourself and others easily, and look really stylish and fantastic, and be a powerhouse leader through that, whatever you want to call yourself, however you feel, because we're really important at this time. We're not here accidentally. We're here for a real great purpose and significance. And this is not the first time we've tried to help assist a planet to evolve, to be able to awaken to what's going on. It's so hard. It seems like many people don't want to learn, don't want to see, don't want to trust. They just want to be hateful, spiteful, troll-like beings, and that gives them pleasure. So it's quite hard to sort of help awaken and empower humanity when it's so addictively used to disempowering themselves and others. So it's very interesting what needs to unfold. And as we know, the planet can't sustain life for much longer. So, which way are we going to exit, my friends? Great question to ask your subconscious. Interns are free, and it would be really great for you to just regularly check your local interns to see how they're doing, even your level ones. When you ask them how are their sessions going, they may be able to be honest with you and say, I'm not getting very many people under, and I don't know why. But now that I'm a level one, I want to charge heaps of money for these sessions. Let's just remind them that they actually need to be able to have really valid sessions, full, complete sessions, and they need some more practice. And if you're just jumping ahead, trying to think that you've got it all going on, trying to, creating this really nasty, bitter coffee and trying to sell it when you haven't learned all of the lessons and all of the stages that are really significant and important, and you've just jumped ahead because you want the money, but you're selling bitter, nasty ass coffee. Check on those interns, check on those level one practitioners, check on all practitioners and see, how are you guys doing? Are you able to get lots of your clients under? And if not, why do you think that is? Fantastic times, my friends, fantastic times. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this now. I love you so much. I hope you're still able to honor the water. It's raining here, so I'm going to be able to bless all this water and all this cleansing in this important time for humanity. And I love you guys. So be kind to yourselves and kind to others, and empower yourselves as you empower others. Bye.